Alright, so I'm just going to make sure this is going. Yep, alright, perfect. So it is live, and we are live. Alright, so welcome everyone. Um, I'm Paolo Ruggiero. I'm the author of Upheaval. It's a fantasy novel, and today I'm doing a little bit of creative writing. So here I have my worlds folder open on my drive here, my Google Drive, and I don't really know where to start, to be honest. I have a lot of things that still need to do, a lot of things I've already done. I think I'm just gonna go. Let's go into random thoughts here. These are thoughts that I have during the day while I'm out working or shopping or watching TV or something, and I think, well, that might be fun. So I just go ahead and I write them all down here. Um, as you can see, I have about 2 pages of ideas. Um, I think I think we're gonna start with this one because I know where it will fit, and I kind of need. I'm writing a new story right now, a new book. It'll probably be done, I don't know, next year. Um, and I need this idea for it. I need to kind of figure out what these five gangs are going to do because there's five of them in the book, and I think one of them will do this. So I guess we'll start with that. And they exist on the mainland, um, but it's a different time period than that. So I guess we'll make a new folder. A new folder. All right. Um, what is this time period called again? Oh my gosh. It's a good thing I wrote it down. Alright, so we have the first age, second age, third age, and then the fourth. Okay, so it's post-separation. I was right. Um, Alright, so I'm going to make a new folder here because I have one for before impact. I'm going to make a new one that's post-separation. Hopefully I don't spell that wrong on the stream and make myself look stupid. Um, Great. So now I need a new doc. And these, let's see, this is going to be, I don't, I don't know what that, I don't need to type at. Okay. So what's the first family going to be? I don't know what they're going to be called yet. I haven't come up with that part yet. I know there's going to be five of them, and I know they're each going to be using magic, different elements of magic, like fire. Well, not fire, because fire magic in my world, nobody can use fire magic. So, might do like something like lightning, water, earth, and wind. And then the fifth one is going to be spirit. Um, so what? So the question really is, which of those five families are going to be the ones doing the snatching, basically? If you look at this idea here, I have the gang, which is going to be the family, that procures items for new scientific or magical research, such as the body snatchers in Britain. Now, if you don't know who the body snatchers were, I don't remember exactly what year it was. I know it was, I think in the colonial times, like 17, 1800s. Um, it was, I think it was illegal to um, defile bodies or to like open them up or something like that. And basically, the body snatchers will go around and do exactly what it sounds like, snatch bodies for universities, and they would sell those dead bodies to the universities. This was after the casket was closed, right? So the family would come in, they would do their whole, the whole funeral shebang, and then they close the casket. Then the body snatchers would sneak in and take the body and replace it with sandbags, or bricks, and sell that body to the universities so that they could conduct research. And um, I mean, I have my own opinions about that. I don't understand why the government would make that illegal in the first place, because it's because of them that we have our knowledge of anatomy and are able to do so many great things in medicine. Um, but it also doesn't surprise me because governments are frequently known for preventing progress that benefits humankind. So uh, we're gonna use that idea. The question is, which of those five families would be most interested in the progress of humankind? Probably the spirit family. And when I say spirit, I mean like their magic comes from their ability to persuade, coerce, or otherwise control others without using, um, I don't want to say projectiles, but without outwardly casting visible spells, like they don't throw lightning bolts, they don't have water, they don't move earth. It comes from their eyes and their words. So it's a very specific kind of magic that is able to induce hallucinations. It's able to coerce and persuade people of things that are not real. Um, so it's a very specific kind of magic, and they only let certain people in to their family, whereas the other families kind of take whoever wants to join. Um, because that kind of magic, the spirit kind of magic, you kind of need to be born with. You can learn a little bit of it, but if you don't have the physical, like if you don't have the special set of eyes, you can't perform that kind of magic. Um, so I think they would be the most interested in the progress of humankind for financial gain, obviously. Um, they're not doing it for free; they're doing it to earn money. Um, Now, would they be stealing dead bodies? I don't know if that would be necessarily um, beneficial, because the problem is we need to consider the fact that there is magic. So, unlike in our world where medicine has to come from experience, it has to come from studying medicine. Um, in magic, with my world magic, a good healer or a good alchemist doesn't really need to study past diseases. They just need to study magic, and they need to study formulas, and they need to learn about herbs and the world in general, not necessarily um, a dead body like we need to do. That's why we have autopsies, because we need to see, okay, how did they die? What happens to the organs during this disease's, whatever it is, uh, that disease's progression. We need to do that process. Whereas in this world with magic, in my world, they don't quite need to do it. They can, and some do, because it is still beneficial. However, they don't need to. So the question is, will they snatch bodies? I don't know. Maybe. If someone, I mean, if someone paid them to do it, they would do it. It's not like there's some moral code against it. They don't care. It's all about the money for them. Because remember, they're trying to run this. These five families are based off of the mafia, so they're trying to run a business pretty much and not get caught. So they don't really care too much about why the person wants the body or the magical artifact, but because they're just trying to make money. But the question is really if studying a dead body isn't a necessity like it was in our world, would people be willing to pay for that still? Some might. Some alchemists perhaps might. Some necromancers might. Um, but necromancy isn't really a subject I covered in my world yet because I don't know if I want that magic to exist. Um, because of the world's origins, I don't know if it would make sense. Um, I just don't know. So I think this is going to be the spirit family, and I think that's what they're going to do. Because it wouldn't really make too much sense. I'll come up with a name for them later. um, it wouldn't make too much sense for the other four families to do it, because the lightning family, for example, they don't need to do that to earn money. They can make lightning come out of their hands and provide energy, so they can just overcharge for energy. Um, the water family can make and control water, so they don't really need to do that either. They can also change the temperature of water, so make it hotter or colder. Um, the earth family can do as it sounds, make things out of the earth, change the landscape. So, for example, if there's a house, right? Let's say because this is supposed to be modeled off the mafia. So let's say there's a business that won't pay them. They could go and change the ground that their business's structure is built on into quicksand and have that start sinking. Um, Then we have what did I just say? Oh, the wind. The wind family, they can control the temperature of the wind and also make it blow harder or not, or like not at all, make it stagnant. They can change the air quality. They can make it more polluted or less polluted, um, and they can also make it more humid. Or would that be a water thing? Hmm. See, this is why these sessions are important because we're able to talk through these things and figure out would controlling the air's humidity be part of the wind family's abilities or the water family's abilities? Could be both. Could be a shared ability. Make it both. Why not both? Like the taco commercial. Why not both? So we'll make it both. Then there was one more thing that the wind family could do. What was it? Well, fudge. I don't remember. Oh, oh, that's right. They can pull the air from your lungs so you can't breathe, um, which can be used as a form of torture. Not very fun, I'm sure. Don't have any personal experience, thank God. Um, but let's do this. Let's do this. So, who pays for them, and what do they steal? So the spirit family, if I had a map, I would be able to show you. But the spirit family, the country, is it a country or a state? It's kind of a country. Um, the country of Ital is um, split into five quadrants, pretty much. Well, not quadrants because a quadrant is four, but 5 sections. There are 4 surrounding the center of the city, and then 1 in the center of the city. And the spirit family controls the one in the center of the city. So we could say the schools and we could say the schools are in the center of the city. So they kind of control the country's education and what they learn, which kind of makes sense with the type of magic they can do, where they're more social, coercive, hallucinatory magic. So that kind of makes sense that they would control the schools because they would want to control what people learn. So that's part of the reason why the other 4 families are fighting. Well, they're all fighting each other for territory, but yeah, because those are the only schools that are in the country in the spirit family's domain. So let's go with well, first we need a head of the family, and I don't know what his name is going to be yet. I always wait to naming people to the last. I named my book after it was ready to be published. I named my world after after I had already created it for a few years. I named my characters after they were already written. I always wait till the end to give things names. Sort of like sort of like how humans are born. We always wait to the end when they're actually born to give them a name. We don't give them a name while they're still forming in the womb. We wait until that process is done. So I kind of modeled that as well. So we'll give them a. Do I want to use like an outline format? I guess. So this is the head of the family. This is gonna be his name. His age. In my world, so time works differently in my world, and I've gotten some negative feedback about that, but I don't really care. It's fantasy. Um, so how do I write that? So time, I guess I'll put that in here. We'll make a new document called time. Okay, try that again. Time. Thanks, Google. I wonder what this type at to insert is. Oh, okay. Insert a person. Yeah, I don't need that. So time. Time. So seconds. I'm not going to go like into milliseconds and nanoseconds because they're all in units of 100, which is my favorite way to do things. Um, I don't know if I could go back in time to the person who originally recorded our time with the 60 seconds and 60 minutes and 24 hours, I would smack the shit out of them. Um, so the seconds, we have 100 seconds per every minute. I should write that. We have 100 minutes per hour. And we have 10 hours of day, 10 hours of night. And so the way this works out, I should actually put, so that is one day, right? This 20-hour cycle is one day. 20 hours per day. Then we have days. There are 10 days in 1 week with one extra day at the end of the month. So there are 31 days. There are 3 weeks in a month. There are 31 days per month. 10 months per year. So we have 3 weeks plus a day at the end of each month. And that one day is kind of special because we have, in this world, I have 2 moons, and one is bigger and it revolves around the planet, and then the second one is smaller and it revolves around that moon. So on that 31st day of the month, the 2 moons overlap and create this ring of twilight that shines down on the continent. It also influences magic and does a whole bunch of weird stuff. So that's 10 months per year. Um, right. And then a year, I mean, a year is 10 months. And then, a decade would be 10 years, a century would be 100 years, so on and so forth. So the way this kind of works out here, so if I break it down into years, right, so if I do minutes per year, right, so we have 525,600 minutes in one of our human years on Earth. Wrong document. Right. So in this formula, in my world, we have, let's see, 100 minutes per hour. We have 20 hours per day. So that's 2,000 minutes per day. So we have 2,000 minutes per day. Right? I'm not showing how dumb I am here, right? That is right. 10 minutes per hour, 20 hours per day. 100 times 20 is 2,000. Okay. So that's per day. Then we got to take that and we multiply it. Oh, wow. Excuse me. 2,000 minutes per day. So we take that and we multiply it by 31 days per month. Which is 62,000 62,000 minutes per month. And then we do times 10, so we have 620,000 minutes per year. Okay. And that's how we do that. So now when we compare it to our human life on Earth, we have 525,600 minutes per year on Earth. So the lifespan of someone on my planet is going to be longer per year than someone on our planet. So we need to factor that in when we make our races. Excuse me. All right. Right, so we need to factor that in. So a human lifespan on Earth of a healthy human, we'll say on average is about, I don't know, 75 years, 80 years. I mean, it kind of varies. I don't know what the average really is. I guess I could look that up, couldn't I? For women, 81 years, and for men, 77 years. So we'll pick, I guess 80 is a good middle ground. Yeah, we'll just say 80. I don't need to really differentiate it. In my world, it's not that important. The reason why I'm doing all of this is to figure out how old this guy's going to be by the time he hits the head of the family's role. So on Earth, our Earth, we have 80 ish average lifespan of 80 years. 80-ish years. Okay, so we need to figure out how much this is here. I'm not going to do that in my head. I'm going to use a calculator. What was it going to be? 80 times 525,600. Oops, one more zero. Times 80. Holy cow. So that breaks it down. Oh. So that is 4,200,000. No, it's not. 42,048,000 minutes per life on Earth. So now all I got to do is figure out what number times this equals that. So I'm just going to take that, 42048 divided by 620,000. Oops. So about 68 years. Okay. So we have on Pia, the average lifespan of a human is going to be about, we'll make it 65, because the place has got a lot of magic, a lot of war, not many people live very long. So we'll make it about 65 years of average lifespan on Pia. Perfect. So a human being on my planet is expected to live about 65 years. And this 65-year-old human is going to have the same quality of life as an 80-year-old human on Earth. So this guy, by the time he reaches the head of the family, could probably be expected to be around 50 years old. Maybe 45, possibly 40 if he's like really, really good, or he does some crafty stuff, but we'll say he's about 50 years old. Next, his eye and his hair color. And does he have a beard? I mean, a lot of this stuff I kind of just randomly picked it out of a hat. None of it really matters to me personally, so I'm just going to leave it blank. However, his personality is important. I don't think I need a whole new tab for that. So let's see. What kind of magic does he use? Does he use his words or his eyes? Or he could also, there's also another type of magic I didn't include, which is touching. When he touches people, he can impart thoughts into their brain and kind of make them do things they otherwise wouldn't do. So the question is, what kind of magic would he use? It would probably be through his eyes, most likely. So, would he be dominant? Would he be a dominant person? He would probably have to be, right? Dominant. Would he be kind? I don't think he'd be kind. He'd be fair. Tough but fair. Yeah, tough but tough but yeah, that's fine. Tough but fair. Would he be vengeful? Maybe. He might be a little vindictive. I mean, if someone wronged him, he would have the ability to very easily influence what they saw and make them. He could even make them go insane with just a look. By the time he's 50 years old, if he's been practicing and studying his magic for that long, he would probably be strong enough to make someone go insane with a look. So the question is, would he use that willy-nilly, or would he be more discerning? He has to get to the head of the family, and he could do that very easily by... Would it be very easily? Because he'd be going up against people who have more powerful magic than him. Because let's say he gets the head of the family at um, 45 years old. The people who are above him in that hierarchy, we'll go into that hierarchy in a little bit, are going to be stronger, at least by a little bit, in that same area of magic. So would he... Question is, would he be able to do it? And would he choose to do it? I don't think so. I think to be the head of the family, you need to be not just fair, but you need to be discerning. You know, you need to look at a situation objectively and say, okay, what's the best decision for the people below me and for the people that we control, that we serve? Because the mafia doesn't really serve anybody, but um, sometimes they do better than the government does, though, at least. Um, Dominant, tough but fair, discerning. So he needs to be really he needs to be really strategic with his decisions and and where he strikes. So calculating. We'll make him cunning. We need to give him a few negative personality traits as well, just to kind of balance him out. Um, so we could make him vindictive. So if someone wrongs him, he could be known to... we'll remove tough but fair because he's not fair if he's vindictive. So he's been known to fly off the handle. No, because he's not a hothead. He doesn't fly off the handle. But if someone really wrongs him, instead of being fair or forgiving, he will crush them with his spirit. Now we're going to dive into his magic. So his magic comes from his eyes. He's able to control people by holding their gaze for a few moments. He can implant ideas, cause hallucinations. Do I not know how to spell hallucination? Oh, it's got... Okay. I don't. It's got two L's. Even break their minds and make them go insane. If they hold his gaze long enough. I think that's good. That's good for now. We don't really need too much detail here because we want... I don't like giving these characters too much detail because I kind of want the story to show them developing a little bit or to show them who they are. You know, if I spend 30 minutes sitting here describing who this person is and what they do, then there's not much left for me to do with the actual story of it. So then we need to start this story off. We need at least 2 or 3 generals for him to command, right? Because we're going to need people for him to talk to if we're going to go through this little writing prompt here that I wrote for scientific and magical research in his city's schools. We're going to need people for him to control, for him to command. Now the question is, are they going to be subjective to his magic? Is he going to use it against them? Probably. Is it going to succeed? I don't know. Probably, probably not. It could be a toss-up. Um, could depend on the person's own magic, the type of magic they use. So we'll make I guess 3. 3 is probably a good number. Yeah, 3 is a good number. And again, with the names, I never give them names. We'll make this one 38 years old. Their personalities. This guy, I think he's gonna be fair. We'll make him judgmental. Quiet, I guess. Not quiet, reserved, and obedient. He's a very, very good second in command. We'll actually make him a little bit older, 40. 40 years old. And his magic comes from his speech. Yeah, so the words he says are able to coerce others. So he is able to coerce others by speaking to them. Now the weakness, I also forgot up here, weaknesses to his magic. Blind people cannot be affected. Because his magic comes from his eyes, and it is through his ability to control people by holding their gaze, by making eye contact. He is able to send images into their brain, thoughts, make them hallucinate, even make them go insane if they hold his gaze long enough. However, if they're blind, they're not going to be able to see his eyes. So his magic literally does not work. It's going to be the same for this guy. He's able to coerce others by speaking to them. He can't implant images or thoughts into the mind, but he can persuade others to do things they otherwise normally wouldn't do just by talking to them. So he can't implant images. He can't make people go crazy, but he can make people do crazy things. His weaknesses: deaf people cannot be affected. If they can't hear him speak, he's not going to be able to persuade them of anything because, well, they can't hear him speak. Next one. Again, I always wait till the end to name things. We'll make this guy 38 years old. And his personality... he's a little quirky. We'll say he's well-liked. Or, well-liked. What's a good word for that? Like a social chameleon. Someone who's able to kind of fit into any group. What's a good word for that? I don't even know. We'll just put that. Social Chameleon. Oh, I forgot to give this guy a negative personality trait. Should we just say he's a little dumb? Dumber than the average bear? Which makes him a good second in command because he'll just follow orders. He doesn't have to do any thinking. His magic is really useful, but if he's... I don't know. I don't want to make him too stupid. Because if he's too stupid, there's no way he'd live long enough to even get to this point. I don't know what to put here, really. I guess being obedient could be also viewed as a negative personality trait as well as a positive one. Because if you're too obedient and you just follow orders to the letter, and you're not really a self-sufficient thinker, and you can't really do anything on your own. So without orders, he's kind of useless. So we'll leave that alone. So he's quirky. So this second general is quirky. So he kind of... But if he's quirky, how is he a social comedian? Or comedian. How is he a social chameleon? He can't be. Well, that actually, you know what? Yes, he can, because in his magic, he has touch magic. So he's able to... his magic comes from touching others. I know it sounds kind of wrong to say he's got touch magic, but it's not perverse in any way, I promise. So his magic comes from touching others. Not in a bad way. Or I guess it could be in a bad way if you wanted it to be. So he's able to coerce others by touching them, and also implant images and thoughts. Images, thoughts, and ideas into their heads. His weakness is literally that he has to touch them. He can't do it from a distance. He must physically touch his target. That's the weakness. His entire sphere of influence is limited to his arm span, how far he can touch people. Now, there are some types of magic where it's treated as touch magic at a distance, but I'm not using that. So that's what causes him. That's how he becomes a social chameleon, and he can fit into any group because once he starts touching people in that group, they automatically start to like him. It's part of his magic, even though he's quirky and weird. Now, what's a negative trait we could give him? I don't want to just go and say he's disobedient, but maybe he thinks on his own. Uh, it sounds bad to say that's a negative personality trait because it's not. That's what we need, are free thinkers. But in a mafia family structure like this, a free thinker as a general is a bad idea because you need people who are going to do what the head of the family tells you to do, regardless of what you think. So we can make him opinionated. Opinionated. Not disobedient, because if he were disobedient, he'd never become a general, but opinionated. Maybe he does things on his own that the others don't really like. But because of his magic, he's able to persuade them that they do like it. Am I forgetting anything here? I don't think so. So basically, the way this would work um, is if let's say the head of the family said, okay, you need to go and assassinate this target or whatever. Um, he would give that mission, the head of the family would give that mission to this guy simply because all this guy would have to do is touch someone, a random civilian, and implant that thought in their brain, and they'll go and do it for him. And they won't be tied to the family at all because it'll just be some random civilian who has no idea why he did it. So the government in Etal will be totally thrown off. Um, of these three types of magic as well, this one, the touch magic, is the hardest to find the cause of because it's the least obvious, right? With this guy, if you're walking by and you see him staring daggers at somebody for 10 minutes, something's going on, right? Something's a little weird. This guy, anyone who can hear him speak will know that something is happening, right? However, this guy, he could walk up to you on the street, shake your hand, and just say, "Hey, how are you doing?" Implant a thought in your brain, you go home and kill three people, right? No one would have any idea where it came from because it's so stealthy, it's so covert that you can't figure out exactly why that happened. I will give the third general. We'll make the third general the head of the family's protege. We'll make him pretty young. We'll make him 25 years old. And this guy is going to be the hothead. Impulsive. Extremely intelligent. We're talking like IQ of 130 and above. Like extremely intelligent. Um, and the reason why he's the protege is because he has the same magic as the head of the family. However, he's not strong enough to break their minds. And he can only cause minor hallucinations that last for a little bit of time. The hallucinations that this guy, the head of the family, can cause last for a long time or can be permanent if he chooses. And let's see. I think that's enough. I think that's all the characters we really need to start this little story here. Um, yeah, yeah, I think that's all we'll need. I mean, they'll each have their own like team of underlings, but we don't need to spend another, it's already been almost 50 minutes. We don't need to spend another 50 minutes figuring out who belongs to who and whatnot. There's no need for that. So we're working on this idea here. New, so they procure items, procure in quotes, um, for scientific and magical research. So the government, in an attempt to squash the families, the five families in Etal, has outlawed magic. Anyone caught performing magic will be shot on sight. There won't be a trial. I mean, if they catch you, I guess. Well, hold on a minute, because so in my world, I have this really unique criminal justice system where You know what? I guess it's about time I wrote it down. I've been keeping it stored in my brain for a long time. Um, so in my world, criminals in foreign countries are, not can be, are sold to slavery in Drak. Drak is the orc country in the south, in the desert, and um, they don't get sold to the government. Actually, I'm sorry, they get sold into slavery to private slavers in Drak that operate in Drak that operate in Drak. Um, So those private slavers, there are two types of slavery in Drak. There are the sands, which I guess this would make more sense if I pulled up a map, wouldn't it? Maps. Um, what would make most sense? These are kind of old maps. I have a newer map. I just don't know where it is. I have to find it on my computer. Um, we'll just open this one up for now, just to kind of make it more sense. So this is the Zero Age. This is like way, way, way back, way before any of this stuff that we're talking about right now. But this is the Orc City. It's the only city that remains. And they have slavery camps out here in the desert. And what they do in the desert, they sift the sand for a mineral that I created called pulse. And it's similar to quartz, except it conducts and stores magic like a battery, and conducts magic like copper, that conducts electricity. So it's very useful. It can be used as money, um, and what else does it do? That's about it. Oh, it's also a precious gemstone because when the sunlight refracts through it, it looks like the gem is on fire, but it's not. So it's a precious stone. It can be used as currency. It stores magic like a battery, so you can like write a spell rune on it and then use that rock later to cast that spell without having to actually be a magical person yourself. Um, and it can be